I kicked my unemployed brother and his pregnant girlfriend out of my home after they disrespected my husband, who was still recovering from a serious accident. I am 28 years old. My brother, who is 24, is the only son in our family. And in the kind of Asian household I grew up in, that pretty much meant he got the royal treatment while my older sister and I had to tough it out. Our dad passed away right before my brother finished high school. After that, my mom thought it was perfectly reasonable to have my sister and me pay for his college. Her logic? Our father had paid for our education, so it was our turn to give back. Now, I am not exactly struggling financially, but I am not rolling in money either. I earn more than average, sure, but with how expensive everything is these days and working non-stop hours, I can feel the pressure. I am married now. I proposed to my husband, a man I have known since middle school, after he was in a terrible accident that left him unable to move properly. He was in a coma for 2 weeks. I made myself a promise that if he woke up, I would ask him to marry me. And I kept that promise. He lost his job because of the accident, but thankfully, he still has money coming in through investments. His parents, who are extremely wealthy, even gave him one of their properties to rent out. So, we were not in trouble financially, but that did not stop the emotional toll. I watched him spiral into depression. He lost everything that gave him joy: his career, his hobbies, his sense of independence. He could not even walk for nearly a year. Even now, he still relies on a cane and cannot stand for too long. About a month before our wedding, I finally started to see a shift in him. These days, nearly a year into our marriage, I see him coming back to life. He found comfort in baking. He started making bread and pastries daily, so often, in fact, that we remodeled our kitchen just to make space for a larger oven and to store all his new baking gear. He is now researching how to open his own bakery, and even though I have eaten nothing but sourdough for weeks, I could not be prouder. Now back to my brother. He and his girlfriend ended up expecting a child by accident. He graduated 2 years ago and has been looking for work ever since. He even tried starting his own business right out of school, but that crashed and burned. What made it worse was that he used nearly all of the inheritance our father left to the three of us, and yes, that includes the portion meant for my sister. My sister was furious, and I do not blame her. After covering his tuition and draining her inheritance, she had every right to be angry. And if you are familiar with Asian families, you already know the oldest daughter usually gets hit the hardest. Things between him and our mother have been strained since the pregnancy. She is not outright against his girlfriend, but she is definitely not thrilled either. Still, he is her favorite, and when he ran into hard times, she came to me, her newlywed daughter, and asked if I could take them in until he found a job. I live in a major city, so she figured he would have a better shot at employment here. I talked to my husband and asked if we could rent one of his spare rooms to them. And being the incredible man he is, he agreed. He did say the space would need work if they were going to raise a baby in it, but he offered to renovate and let them stay in our guest room until it was ready. Rent would only kick in once my brother found a job. I had a bad feeling about the whole thing from the start. I have read enough stories like this to know how quickly it could go wrong, and boy, did it. They moved in just before Christmas. Right away, it was obvious they had no interest in helping out around the house. They cleaned only their plates, glasses, and bowls. Anything larger, pots, pans, trays, they left for us to wash. They did their laundry, but that was the extent of their effort. They treated our pantry like a free-for-all and emptied the fridge regularly without ever replacing anything. Some days, I never even got to taste the desserts my husband made for me because they ate them. Even after I worked back-to-back shifts at the hospital, I am a medical resident, I would come home to dirty dishes I knew my husband did not touch. They never vacuumed their floor. Never took out the trash, even when it was overflowing. I usually handled it when I had time, but more than once, I came home and saw my husband, cane in hand, dragging the trash out alone. Look, I was not expecting them to scrub the entire house, but the least they could do was act like decent guests. Watching my husband, who still struggles physically, do all the things they would not lift a finger to help with, it made my blood boil. Eventually, I pulled them aside for a talk. I kept it light, telling them it might help their job hunt if they learned to pitch in a little. I told my brother he could at least take the trash out, and I told his girlfriend, pregnant or not, she could rinse a dish now and then. I even tossed in a cheesy teamwork makes the dream work to keep it civil. They stepped up a little after that. They started washing all their dishes, but left them piled in the drying rack. Not exactly ideal, but at least it was something. Then came Chinese New Year. My mother and sister came over to visit. My husband went all out with the food, and I made sure the house was spotless. I even set up the other guest room for them. That is when I realized the second floor, where my brother and his girlfriend stayed, had not been cleaned in what looked like months. They did not even come downstairs until our guests arrived. We greeted each other, bowed to my mother, and sat down for dinner. That is when everything hit the fan. Out of nowhere, my brother made a comment, said it was about time my husband got a real job now that he could walk again. He added that even though he was younger, he was working hard to find employment. Then he had the nerve to say, "No offense," and followed it up with a dig at my husband's baking. Said it was an odd hobby for a man his size and that he did not think my husband was even good at it. His girlfriend jumped in, saying my husband seemed more feminine than she was. She said he did all the cooking and cleaning, and it made her feel weird. She even joked that I would eventually leave him if he stayed stuck at home. She complained that he never said anything back to them, just smiled and stayed quiet. Honestly, I think even my brother realized how bad it sounded, because he tried to play it off like it was just a one-time thing. I stood up, took their plates, and told them to pack their things. I was done. I could not even look at my husband, I was so ashamed of the way they talked to him in our home. It took everything in me not to scream at them right there. They accused me of overreacting to harmless jokes. My mom tried to smooth things over, said they meant no harm and asked why I had to ruin a good day. She pointed out that my husband did not look offended. I did not respond. I handed over my car keys just to get them out of the house. They left with my sister, offering a half-hearted apology to my husband on the way out. She told me later they spent the night at a motel before going back to my mother's place. The next day, my older sister came by to collect their belongings. She laughed about the whole thing and told me she thought I did the right thing. My husband said he appreciated that I stood up for him, but he said he never took their comments personally. He knows I support his dream, and that is all that matters to him. He did mention I might have been a little too intense. Later, my mom called me to say I had overreacted. She reminded me again that my brother is struggling, and that his girlfriend is pregnant, as if that excused everything. She said I should have just talked to him, like I did with the dishes. Apparently, he told her about that too. I still do not think I went too far. I am still angry, honestly. But I am starting to question myself, because my husband took it so calmly. After everything blew up, folks online started chiming in, and I replied to a few of them. Thought I'd share some of that and then follow up with an update. Commenter 1 said, "You are not the one in the wrong. Your brother took the inheritance money, he stole it. He is lazy, got his girlfriend pregnant, does not have a job, and disrespected your husband while living in your home for free. He has been a lousy guest. You were too patient. You should have kicked him out long ago. He is entitled, thanks to your mother. All of you have allowed it to continue." My reply: "You know what? You are right. Looking back, I realize I helped enable him, even if I did not mean to. Lesson learned. It is not happening again. Thanks for saying it straight." Commenter 2 said, "Not the wrong one here. Good on you for defending your husband and hopefully giving your brother and his girlfriend a wake-up call. They got themselves into this mess. Living in your house for free and still talking down to your husband? Unbelievable." My reply: "I should have mentioned earlier, my brother never even took the car keys. My sister did. She is the one who drove them out of the house. The car is fine, parked in the garage. She even topped up the gas." Commenter 3 said, "If your mother has such strong feelings, she can house them herself. Your loyalty is to your husband now. Keeping those two around could undo your husband's progress. Just imagine what they say to him when you are not around. My reply: that has been weighing on me too. I actually asked my husband about it, whether they said anything to him when I was not there and why he never told me. He admitted that he does not like talking much because of how difficult it still is for him to get words out. But he did clap back once. He said it half jokingly, but it stuck. He figures that is why my brother brought it up during dinner. Update, February 4th, 2025. I did not expect to post an update, but after the response I got, I figured it was worth saying a few things. First off, thank you to everyone who took the time to read and comment. My husband and I went through a lot of the responses together last night, and he really appreciated all the kind words. Some of the comments even made him blush, which is rare. Do not tell him I said that. I tried to respond to everyone, but I tapped out after an hour. I just did not have the energy. I called this an update, but a big chunk of this is really just me answering the questions people kept asking. 1. Did I get the car back? Yes, I did. My brother never took it, my sister drove it to a motel that night. The car is back in my garage, safe and sound. 2. Why did I let him live with us? Truth is, I am not close with my family. By Asian family standards, you can guess why. I went to boarding school and moved out early. I barely came home during college, maybe once or twice during New Year's for a week. I always found part-time work during breaks to avoid going home. I also barely kept in touch. Back then, all I knew about my brother was that he was a spoiled mama's boy. He had never crossed a line with me personally. If anything, he seemed a bit afraid of me, probably because I used to be the one who forced him to apologize to mom or our sister after our dad died. So when my mother asked if he could stay with me, I did not expect him to act the way he did. He had decent grades from a respectable school, so I figured he would land a job quickly. Before that, though, my mom had actually asked me to pay for his wedding. No joke. Even when she said it could be a small one, I still said no. She would have better luck getting blood from a rock. I agreed to let him stay just to avoid another marathon of guilt trips and phone calls. Letting him stay seemed like a compromise. Looking back, that was one of my biggest mistakes. 3. Why did I give up my inheritance? Technically, I did not. Our dad left each of us some money. I told mom to go ahead and use my share for my brother's tuition. My thinking at the time was that if I ever used that money, she would demand something in return. I figured if paying for our education was transactional to her, everything else probably would be too. I never really saw that money as mine. After my brother got into college, I avoided mom for months. That inheritance was supposed to help us with wedding expenses. She let it go faster than I expected, though. I did sit my brother down and make him apologize to our sister and promise to pay her back once his business crashed. But I do not think it was really my place to forgive or scold him, since I had given up my claim to the money. Still, maybe I should have stepped in for my sister's sake. 4. Why does my husband have no spine? Honestly, that one kind of irritated me. My husband literally has titanium in his back. He had surgery after the accident, and figuratively, he is tougher than people think. I left out a lot of his side of the story because I was focused on what I did and why. I actually asked him that night if he really did stay silent the whole time, and why he never mentioned being disrespected. He got a little insulted that I believed what my brother and his girlfriend said. Turns out, he had clapped back at them once during New Year while I was working. He said something like, "Even if we are both unemployed, I am still richer than you. I have a wife who is a doctor and proposed to me while I could not even move. Life is good. Just get a job." He was laughing when he said it, so maybe they thought he was joking. Maybe it did hurt my brother, and that is why he brought it up later. To me, just picturing my husband saying something like that is kind of hilarious and, honestly, kind of attractive. But that is too much information. As for why he never brought it up to me, he said it was not worth the effort. Talking is still hard for him. He compared their behavior to the neighbor's husky, loud and annoying, but not something worth getting worked up over. I told him from now on, he better speak up if someone disrespects him. I even joked that I would finally get to use my yellow belt in Taekwondo from elementary school. Not that it means much, but it made him smile. I think he appreciated what I did more than he let on. Just a feeling. 5. Am I enabling my brother? I thought about that a lot. I think my decision to avoid my family might have made things worse. In some ways, yes, I enabled him by not holding him accountable. That said, I am not his parent. It is not my job to raise him. But I do take some responsibility for not pushing him harder when we were younger. That might be part of why he acts the way he does now. That wraps up the little question and answer session I made for myself. It has only been a week since Chinese New Year, so not much has changed. The one big thing? I blocked both my mother and brother from my phone and my husband's after checking with him first. She tried to reach out to him yesterday, asking about the room we had planned to renovate. That project is still going, since he already spoke to his parents about it, but now we will just rent it out to someone else. Someone who actually deserves it. When he showed me the message, I blocked her number without a second thought. He kept asking if it was really okay to cut off my family like that. Every time we talked about it, he said he was fine and not upset by it. Still, I was second-guessing myself. But then I remembered something: my ancestors built turtle ships, and has built the Great Wall of China. Between the two of us, I think we have the strength to stick to this decision. As far as I am concerned, my mother and brother are like a random hair on your backside. You do not need it, and once it is gone, you feel better. I do not know anything else about what my brother and his girlfriend are up to. I never ask, and my sister does not bring them up unless I do. Honestly, not my concern anymore. I did hear that my mother called my husband crazy for choosing me over his own blood. Well, I am her daughter, so I guess I know where I get it from. After reading all the comments together, my husband and I talked through a lot. I even apologized again and asked him if he had ever thought about leaving me because of how badly things went down. He asked me if I remembered telling him to just get fat after I proposed with a ring that did not fit. I bought it the same size as our couple ring. It is a sentimental thing, not laziness. A few days after he woke up, he said, "You stayed with me when I could not even blink on my own. Why would I leave you after you stood by me?" Sure, I am not perfect. I mess up. But he said it is more than enough for him. We fix things together. Just like he worked to gain weight so the ring would fit, he said he would make up for anything I dropped. We are a team. I cried so much I had to take a sick day, my eyes were that swollen. And no, I am not joking. Not yet, anyway. I know I ramble, but if you are still with me, I want to leave you with this: standing up for yourself can be hard. It is not always obvious or easy. But every time you push through something messy like this, you grow. You gain strength. Making mistakes and fixing them is nothing to be ashamed of. That is what makes you stronger. So hold your head up. Keep moving forward. And now really, thank you for reading. I hope the year ahead is good to you.